What will the world look like in 20 years? And what will our story be? What will your story be in 20 years? In my last video, I went on about how we are led by fantasy and we are met with reality. I imagine that the reality we will be met with in 20 years is going to be a very different world than the world we are currently living in. Now, I'll caveat that by saying that this is going to affect Europe quicker than it's going to affect America, but it's going to affect all of us. I say 20 years, not 5, because in 5 years we think of geopolitics and we think of all the kind of nitty-gritty details. And I want to put that aside. I want the big movement, just that. In 20 years' time, I imagine a few things. So there's a few presuppositions here. One, that you agree with me that everything comes down to story, that we are led by fantasy and we are met with reality. If you haven't come across that, go back and watch last week's video. And if you disagree with it, then you're going to disagree. This video won't be framed right for you. Second is that in 20 years' time, we are going to have less energy available to us. That means we are going to be able to travel less. It means that the experiences we have are going to be more community-based. It means that everything is going to be more expensive. And maybe we're going to make more of our own stuff. We're going to grow more of our own stuff. We're going to be a little bit more in touch with what we consume or use. Finance is going to be a different thing. Technology is going to be a different thing. There's a few things there, but big picture, energy is going to be more expensive. That alone will change quite a lot. Now, those other ingredients, don't forget them, because you don't have to agree with me here. You don't have to take on this framing. I'm simply asking you what your story is going to be in 20 years' time. Have you worked? Have you built a relationship with it? So I imagine when there's less energy, less travel, less of this go out and find yourself, less of this, explore and seek. And if you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. There's going to be a little bit more of community and duty and dependency. We're going to be a little bit more integrated or interconnected. I think less individual. I think. So in that world that I'm imagining, let me know if you agree or not. And this video is going to go out to like 50 people, so message me. It's no problem at all if you've questions about this. But I love that conversation, by the way. But are we, the story that we're going, like when met with that reality, what story are we going to tell ourselves? Because the story will be the difference, like it's going to be a night and day difference. Are we going to be some spiritually resurrected culture where family is key, community is paramount, where we learn about ourselves through other people and we grow and develop, and it becomes this deepening of story, it becomes this sharing of story, it becomes this collective story. Now, whether or not that has to be institutionalized, I don't know. But I feel like you might gather the space might be something like what religion was back in like pagan times, back when they wouldn't have known what religion was. They wouldn't have recognized it as an institution, and they certainly wouldn't have located it for like 1 hour on a Sunday. No, it was just the way they saw the world. When they looked at the ocean, they saw Poseidon. So, or are we going to be in a highly supervised, highly big brother sort of top-down government where it's 1984 or Brave New World, where all of our movements are being tracked to make sure that you're behaving well, to make sure that you're not over-consuming and over-straining your environmental constraints and making sure you're behaving yourself, and all of this technocracy thing that will crush us, and that we will fight to hold on to that last little spark to rebel against this big behemoth of something. Now both of those, like, that's utopia, that's dystopia, and we're not going to get either. We're going to get some strange Frankenstein that I'm not even sure of. Perhaps it will be a third attractor. Perhaps it will be Game B. These are corners of the internet that are fascinating. They're so interesting, well worth checking out. As I've said, check out Meditations on Moloch. That is the introduction to this whole space. But I bring this up now because we are coming up to Christmas. And Christmas is a very strange time. It is ultra materialist and technocracy and the system and, like, you know, lots of travel and lots of energy being spent, copious amounts of energy being spent. But it is also a time when community comes together, family comes together, and you have a ritual of what a Christmas day looks like. I'm using that term very loosely by what you might imagine I mean as ritual. Ritual, I just mean the kind of the rhythm, the sequence of events that happen on Christmas Day to make it feel like Christmas Day. So that is what I want to leave you with this week. I want to ask you what the world looks like in 20 years and what your story is going to be to navigate that world. When you're met with that reality, what story are you using to navigate it, to understand it? And I'm asking for a bit of reflection this Christmas, I suppose, of just what about your ritual is what feeds you? Is it the food? Is it the presents? Is it coming around the Christmas table and having some laughs and some banters? Is it the chats afterwards where some serious talk, some joking talk, some reminiscing on old stories, on old tales from the past, from our ancestors, maybe even from myth, if you have some big-bellied guy dressed in red dropping off presents? And also, is there any stories about the future where what Christmas could be, what Christmas might be, or what the family is planning for the year, or just it's a time of congregation, it's a time that we all get together and we commune, we share an experience, and we really share it. There's no, well, tell me, like, is technology part of that day? Do you get distracted? Do you still allow for that that moment of break where you just have time to yourself? And how approachable are you during that break? That might be the question. But what is the ritual? What is the story you're telling yourself to deepen that ritual? And in 20 years' time, what will be the things that you prioritize Christmas that year? Will you make sure that you maintain the mulled wine? Will you make sure you maintain the Christmas dinner that we all gather around, whatever food? Or is the food has to be something glorious to warrant it? What can we separate these things out? But what would it be? What would make Christmas Christmas? What is it that makes Christmas Christmas? What is it that ties us together, that binds us together, that holds us together? So that is my question. What does the world look like in 20 years? What does Christmas look like in 20 years? What are you prioritizing? What are you going to really hold on to firm, even if the world around you changes? What are you really going to hold on to? And don't ask yourself this now, because everyone's rushing to get their last minute presents and everyone's still in the kind of, like, you know, preparation stage. But maybe Christmas Day or the few days afterwards, what is it about Christmas that really, really feeds you? What is the part that you love dearly? And what stories are attached with that? What's the tradition? What will be the tradition? That is my question for this week. So, I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to the week to come. And I hope you're looking forward to Christmas, to the holidays. And if not, maybe that's the reflection. What would it take for Christmas to be something good? How much mulled wine would be needed, how much food would be needed, how much presents would be needed, how many people, how much family is ideal, maybe how much community is ideal. Don't know. But yes, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I will see you again next week. Bye guys.